In the previous video, we talked about how the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is a light. And we talked about how it was a physical light when he was alive and when he was with his companions in the city of Medina specifically. But for us, he is also a light for our lives. And he is that perfect role model, that perfect exemplary, example of character for us, someone that we should follow. And if we follow him, then we're following God Almighty himself. What I want you to do as you're watching this right now is let the messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, let him touch your life. Make him a part of your life. Learn about him. Listen to lectures and podcasts and watch videos about him. Attend gatherings where his remembrance and his mention and his life story is being talked about. Hang around with people who are like him and who imitate him and who love him. And that will increase in your love. And I guarantee you, if you let him touch your life in these different ways, then you will find a light in your life. The Prophet ﷺ is going to be that light, and he will illuminate and enlighten your life just like he enlightened the lives of the companions and the places and the people who he was with when he was alive. So one of the examples I want to give is a story of a companion whose name was Fudhala. So after the Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions, they conquered Mecca. So the city which they had to leave many years before because they were being persecuted and it was not a safe place to live for them anymore, even though that was their home and they had to go to Medina. But then they were able to go back and reacquire their home. When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, at that time, after the conquest of Mecca, was doing tawaf. Fudhala was one of the people in Mecca who was not Muslim. So when the Muslims conquered Mecca and they got their home back, there were still a lot of people in Mecca who had not become Muslim, but they had become conquered by the Muslims. But they were not forced, of course, to become Muslims, because that's not part of our religion. You cannot force anybody to become Muslim. They have to do it on their own. And there are specific rules and guidelines when it comes to people who are not Muslims living under Muslim rule. That's another discussion. But the point is that he was one of those people who was not Muslim. And so the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is doing tawaf around the Kaaba. He's going around the Kaaba, which is one of our rituals. So Fudhala is like, you know what, I hate this man so much that I'm going to go and take a dagger in my hand and hide it. And when I get a chance, when I'm close enough, I'm gonna stab him, I'm gonna assassinate him, I'm gonna kill the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. That's how much he hated him. And he's like, you know what, I know the Muslims are gonna get me, they're probably gonna kill me after that, but you know what, at least he'll be gone. So then he starts also doing tawaf around where the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is doing tawaf around the Kaaba. And so the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he sees him and he gets very close to him and he says, hey Fudhala, what are you thinking about right now? And so Fudhala is like, oh, nothing, I'm just doing adhkar, I'm just doing dhikr, And so the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is like, okay. And so then they continue doing tawaf and he comes to him a second time and he says, hey Fudhala, what's on your mind right now? What are you thinking about? And he's like, oh, no, nothing, I'm just doing, adhkar. And so the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he sought forgiveness from Allah. He said, astaghfirullah. And then he placed his blessed hand on the chest of Fudhala. And Fudhala, he says that at that moment, I felt this coolness and this calmness. And he, meaning the Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, became the most beloved of people to me. He became the most beloved person to me. Literally, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, touched him. He just touched him physically. And he completely changed as a human being. He became a Muslim. He accepted Islam. And then he changed so much that on his way back home, there was a woman that he used to meet whenever he would visit or whenever he was going through that area. And as he passed by, he didn't go to the woman. He didn't meet the woman as he would normally do. So the woman, she sees him passing by without any interest, and she's like, hey, what are you doing? I thought we were supposed to hang out or whatever he was doing. And he was like, no, I'm sorry, I cannot do this anymore with you because my religion and Allah does not allow this. I've accepted Islam. And so subhanAllah, he changed right away. He literally changed. He made a 180 in his life because the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, touched him. And he started making da'wah to that woman and he just changed his life. So what I'm trying to say in this video is that let the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon you. He cannot physically touch us like this story, but you can definitely Let him touch you in that spiritual way, in that emotional way, in that psychological way. Let him in your life. And just one last thing actually I forgot to mention is that I went to the UK recently, and alhamdulillah we were connected with a host family. It was just a husband and wife. They're probably in their like 40s or 50s. MashaAllah, very simple couple. They can't have children. They have a nice place, in East London. And we stayed with them, and they have such a very simple, nice life. Like they're just doing, just daily life, just normal, just like chilling. So simple, And so I was sitting with them one of these days when I was in the UK, and I was like, give me some advice. And the first thing he said, and the main thing he said is, put the sunnah of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in your life. And if you put his sunnah, and if you try to do as much of his sunnah as you can in your life, then your life will become easy, and light will become a part of it. You'll have this light in your life if you have the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in your life. There's so many different sunnahs and practices and tradition of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, that we can easily implement into our lives. Look into those things and try your best to implement as much of it as you can. And trust me, there will be a light that illuminates in your life, inshallah.